All right, welcome to the Speed-Climbing.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh, and I do have Sam Watson here for our second episode. Sam, why don't you say
Hello.
hi?
Hello. My name is Sam Watson. People know me as Sub Six Sam. Uh, oh my God.
All right, Sub
uh,
Six Sam, how did you get that nickname aside from going Sub Six? Like, how early on did you get that?
I could not tell you. It just started being a thing, and now it's like the biggest meme in my life.
I
And
hear there's possibly a website called Sub Six Sam.
is there?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, it's like the biggest meme in my life, and I've just kind of learned to embrace it. So it's pretty funny. Like I had all my supporters at Youth Worlds wear bracelets that said Sub Six Sam. So
That's excellent.
yeah,
Okay.
it's super fun. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course. I know you've got a really busy schedule ahead of yourself. You're flying out to Edinburgh in what, like 4 days?
I'm flying out the ninth.
Okay.
Today's the third, so I got a couple good session days. Today I'm resting. Then I got 2 more days of doing some performance training, and then yeah, I'm heading out Scotland.
Excellent. And what day is that competition? How many days are you flying out ahead?
Um, I think 4 days before.
Okay, so you're giving yourself plenty of time to acclimate to the time zone change and
Yeah. Plus, I hear it's a very cool city, and it's going to be awesome. So
nice.
I'm super stoked for that.
Excellent. Well, I mean, we just kind of jumped right into it. So let's just talk a little bit about last week's competition. So had a little bit of a personal best there.
Yeah.
Dropped a pretty solid time there. So why don't you just go ahead and talk about that competition, how it felt, and just go into that race a little bit.
Yeah. So it's definitely a weirder feeling. So I live in Dallas. I live. That's the gym I usually train at every single session for like the rest. I've probably done 1,000 runs on the wall. They're probably more, to be honest. And it's just like you've been to like I've been around, and I've spent a year probably going to competitions, and it's just like nothing can even come close to competing on your home crowd for the first time for that international event. And you kind of have to go into it with a unique mindset, because when you have to perform and you have all these people, like I had some family friends flying out from like the East Coast and like um all around Texas, and it's like it's kind of a big deal when they're like expecting, it's not, you're unknown, like everyone knows I'm not a dark horse in this event. It's just
Right.
like, this is Youth Worlds, it's on my hometown, I gotta show up, right? So you go into it with that mentality of you gotta do good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or so I had this great US team. It's a youth event, so we have a really good coaches. um Shout out to Megan McDonald. She was a really good mental coach throughout the entire thing. I was talking to her about like um in speed, it's the same route every time. So you can't necessarily always grade your performance just on the time you run. It's probably the biggest part of it, but it's not, everything, especially for you. Um, like a lesson I've learned is that you're the one who cares the most about your performance. I have a lot of people in my life who really do support me and do care as well. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who wants to do the best, the most, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have access to all these little intangible things that I know, like say, okay, well, I got on this wall and, I wasn't feeling great. I got up a decent time, but, I just wasn't feeling it. So maybe next time I'll go faster. Or, even though, like, I'll give you an example at that specific event. We got there. I had two not good practice runs. I had one bad qualifier run. And then I, just gave it my absolute all to reset and throw up, what was eventually a new youth world record, 5.61 or 5.6 something, 5.64. I don't know. But even though that's not necessarily insanely fast for me, it was really like good for me to kind of feel the reset, because I feel like in Chamonix, my last event, I was not able to do that very well. And I, was kind of darting around, not knowing what to do. And I reflected a lot on that and learned from my mistakes so that I could, really feel like I, um, was being able to reset really well and perform at my best. And that's worth a lot more to me than getting a national record itself. Because, that proves to me, who cares the most about my performance, that I'm performing. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Sam, how old are you?
I am 16 years old.
Okay. So what you just spoke about there really speaks to, like understanding the process, that, time is a reflection of like a lot of different areas of your ability to perform combined into, one performance. But
Mm-hmm.
there's like all these other little aspects of your race, which already seems like you already have a really good feeling for, as well as, the process that goes into furthering your ability. Process-based mindsets are one of the things that you see professional, like top tier professionals at most sports, like they understand that process, that they fall in love with that process, not just the competing in the times, but the little nuances that go into even a mundane training session. They understand that, I'm doing this because it's going to make me better in X, Y, and Z, and that's going to carry over to my performance. And the fact that you already have that sort of mindset, it speaks really volumes to yourself, and I'm sure also to your coaches. I'm sure some of this is also taught to you by your coaches.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Dallas, and if people are kind of unfamiliar with the youth climbing scene, we have a very, very good team, very big team called Team Texas, where we have branches from all over the state. We even have Team Texas Oklahoma now, which is pretty ironic. But we have all these great coaches who will, have been doing it, a lot. Most of them have been coaches that like have been on Team Texas themselves, including myself. I did some coaching as well.
Nice.
And they want to give back, and they know all of these things from competing for so many years. And it's good to have that experience, but it's also good to have so many of them that have so many perspectives
Hmm.
of, not every athlete is the same. Every athlete, has their own goals, right? Not everyone is going to go out there and be Adam Andra, right?
Right.
But they can still go out and prove to themselves that they're doing their best, right? And sometimes that's what matters. And one of my most senior coaches, Kyle Clinkscales, he says that we want to make better people out of rock climbing, not better rock climbers by making better people, right? It's and things like that of saying, I may not be able to do good on this lead route. I may not gonna, be able to get to the top, but I can probably get one clip higher or one hold higher than I thought I could.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what matters, and sometimes it's what will carry over to the rest of the things people learn in life.
Exactly. That's the type of mindset that's going to carry you so much further in life. Not just being focused so much on like the end result, but that the personal pushing of just a little bit further, of just, I know I'm uncomfortable right now, but can I just go this one step further? And whether it's, high school, college, your first job, etc., relationships, all of that, it's going to carry over directly into it. So I don't know your coaches personally, but it sounds like they have their team heading in the right direction. That's really great to hear and really great to see, especially because um, with climbing becoming more popular throughout the US, more climbing gyms opening up, etc. A lot of times the coaches can just be people that are really good, just like they're crushers, and they don't really have a lot of experience coaching. So it's great to hear that your gym specifically and the different teams that they have are really coached by some great people.
Yeah. I can actually give a testament to that. So I did started coaching a couple of months ago. Just younger kids and doing all three disciplines and saying, I have a pretty good resume for my age as far as actual performance goes,
Right.
but coaching has so many intangibles, like it is ridiculous. And I remember the same coach, Cal Skills, he recorded a video. Um, it was like a video, like a 20-minute lecture about, the different things that go into coaching. And, some of it was just basic stuff like how we run things. But what kind of stood out to me in that video was saying, no one cares how much you know before they know how much you care. Right. And no one will respect your opinion unless they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you could be the biggest crusher in the world. You could be, Adam Andra. And if they're just like, yeah, do the move, you just grab it stronger. Like
Right.
that's not going to connect to someone and make a lasting impact. But
No.
if I say, um, say I give someone a circuit and I am an infamously hard circuit setter. I set very, very hard circuits. And, not because I want to just batter the people I coach around,
Hmm.
but, because it's another process for them to work on it, right? It's, you know, a perfect circuit to me is one that you go down and they have a move, they go, okay, I'm doing a couple moves, and then they get on the move, and then they don't know the sequence very well because, they may not have gone through it before, say it's a heel hook or engaging your shoulders or something like that. And they fall. And then at that point, they're forced to turn around and look at you and go, either it's way too hard. You just made that hard. You did. I'm like, no, it's just, this is me forcing a coaching moment so that you can work on becoming a better rock climber, and not in like a mean way, but that's
Sure.
just how to work a circuit, I think. And that kind of culture is instilled within all the Team Texas coaches. I'm so glad to have it.
Yeah. One of the first things I learned as a coach is, you coach the person, not the performance.
Exactly.
So, there's a technical model for every movement that, your athlete's going to go through, but just spouting technical jargon is going to mean absolutely nothing to them if you don't have a personal connection with them and you can actually distill it down into something that they understand and that they care about as an athlete.
Yeah,
Or,
it
uh,
definitely is the biggest part of it.
yeah. So I want to rewind a little bit. When we first started talking, you mentioned that, you're a couple days out from flying out, so you're going to have a couple more specific hard sessions in front of you.
Mhm.
What does your lead up to a competition look like? What are your sessions set up like, and how are you preparing yourself for to compete the best?
So I actually have a decently unique performance training lesson plan that my main coach, Merritt Ernsberger, I've been working on.
Hmm.
Um, so I just like one of the things that I've been doing my entire career that kind of has given me like an edge in terms of mindset over a lot of my competitors is I will integrate aspects of randomness into my routine. And that sounds kind of weird, but it's like, say you get to an event and the IFSC or USA Climbing or whatever federation kind of messes up, right? Say the timer breaks, say
Hmm.
something like that happens. And if you're a person who's used to, okay, well, I gotta kick the wall, and I gotta chalk up right now, and I gotta look forward, and you know, every single one of those things is gonna, the more reliant you are on things being exactly the same, the more like the less resilient you are to when they don't happen.
Hmm.
Right. So a lot of people will notice I have a routine where I'll go kick the wall, I'll lay my towel down, I'll get my chalk bag, and I'll run up the wall. But like for the past couple of years, I've always integrated an aspect of randomness. Okay, so say sometimes I'll be clipped in and then I'll set my pad up. Or say sometimes my chalk will be over there and I'll have to go run and grab it, or I'll have to, be in line and then I'll have to, not be that warm, or I won't have chalk, or, all of these little things that you can say, okay, well, this isn't ideal, but it's going to be good practice, especially if I'm not actually at a competition. I can do my best to not mess up in the actual competition,
Hmm.
but right here I'm going to work on like being resilient to when those things do happen, because a lot of the time it's out of your control. Like, there's some things, say, oh, well, I just completely forgot all my gear. You can kind of prevent that. But
Right.
say, if there's a storm delay or the timer breaks or a hold breaks or any of these little things, they are completely out of your control to happen.
Yes.
So what I've been doing recently is I'll factor in those things. I'll say, okay, go set a random timer. I'm gonna go boulder. I'm gonna go warm up, and come get me, and I'll practice staging, and I'll get ready. And so we'll do the same thing when you do two practice, two qualifiers, and then a final simulation. So say um I'm gonna get a practice time, feel the wall out, do both lanes. Then I'll get a qualifying time, and then based on the qualifying time, he'll place me in a bracket, and then tell me like when I'm in line, and you're like, okay, you're gonna race a Chinese person, right? That can probably run like 5-1. So you got to push yourself really, really hard,
Hmm.
and it is really, really good. I think it takes some practice to be able to get into that mindset at will of being in competition. And I think it's what a lot of people strive for as an athlete, to say, Okay, well, I'm just practicing today, so I don't really have to try that hard, but I would like to be able to throw up a PR right now, but I don't really have the psych for it. So you got to kind of manufacture it via like simulating that in your head. And I think having, I had like my friend there that was like clipping me in and, pressing the buttons and, it helps to have that around you and to kind of embrace the mindset. Okay, so I'm practicing competing and you can say, all right, I want to throw up a 5.3 right now. I want to get one, get a PR right now. And sometimes you don't, but a lot of the times when you're in that mindset, it's a lot easier to do so.
Yeah, well said. I don't know how much you're into other sports, but I think last week there was a little clip going around like Twitter and social media of this pitcher who was mic'd up, and he was talking about, I've just got, I'm going in. I've got 8 pitches to get warmed up, and he's just going through his process. Like typically, you would want to have a longer time to warm up to actually get your body ready, but just going through mentally, like I've got 8 pitches. I can do this, going through like rehearsing in his brain how he's going to get warm, just only having these 8 pitches. And because it's random, you don't know when you're going to go in, so you need to be ready to handle that situation when it comes up. When I was competing in track and field, it was very common where it's like, okay, I know I'm racing these 2 races today. And then all of a sudden someone goes down in a relay and your coach taps you on the shoulder and like, you've got 10 minutes to get ready for this race. You're like, okay, time to go. And you have to
Yeah.
be able to turn that on and instantly hit that race time focus. And that's a skill you do have to practice. And you have to practice that in practice, because
Yeah.
if you only practice that during competitions, that's like what, 6, 8, 10 times a year that you're practicing that, compared to 2 to 3 times a week of actually getting into that race time focus. So
Mhm.
uh
And you can do various things to kind of put pressure on you, like saying, I'm not going to have any espresso tomorrow if I don't run 5.5. Um, that one worked really well. That one's my all-time favorite.
Now, do you
But
drink your espresso out of a very specific mug like John does? Do you have a Ferrari cup?
I have this one right here. I already had it today, but
Excellent.
I do not have one. I think he has a Tokyo 2020 little glass. I think I want to get a Paris 2024 one,
Yes.
just to remind me of the dream, but they don't sell them currently. So if anyone knows how to get one, I will buy one off you if you
Yeah, I
would like
wonder
to.
how soon all that swag goes on sale for the Olympics. I assume it'd go on at least the year before. Start getting people ready
They
for it.
have like an IOC store where they sell like insanely overpriced merch.
Sure.
There was a little journal, like a booklet. It said records are meant to be broken with the Olympic logo on it. I was like, that is so cool. I'll get one for Merit. And it was like $65. And I
Yeah,
was like, no.
the IOC is really good at making money.
Yep, they are
Mhm.
they are really good at not giving it to their athletes. So
Very true. Very true.
sorry if if any
No,
IOC people are watching this, we love you. We thank you for the work you do. But if you'd like to send
yes,
us a check.
yes, he does. But me not being in that age bracket anymore, to where I'd still have Olympic aspirations, I will just say do better for the athletes.
Okay, yeah, no, you do great, but we
All right. So you kind of just went through, how you instill a little bit of randomness into your practice, into your lead ups, so that you're ready for competitions.
Mhm.
And you kind of went through your routine. Do you have any like set superstitions that you have, that like you have to do this in the morning before you like head to the competition, or anything like that?
Honestly, I try to avoid things like that, like the plague, like of
Hmm.
saying, if I don't get out of bed and I roll to the right at first, I'm screwed because you're not.
Hmm.
Like, even if it's a lot more tangible of a factor, like, say, I'll give you an example. When I was in Seoul, I got horrible sleep the previous night, and I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. and, for the competition. And I had never done the practice of basically you practice qualies and finals basically at 3 sessions of the day. And I was like, okay, well, I am not used to this at all. But I know for a fact that if I go out there and I do bad, then I'm not gonna give myself that excuse because
Hmm.
I probably can perform well. And I ended up not doing my practice runs. And I talked to John Brosler, and he was like, well, the wall's perfect. You're fine. You've done it 1,000 times. I'm like, okay, well, I went out there and I like slept on my first run. I ran like 6.1, and I got on my second run. I did another slip, and I was like, okay, well, I got to recover now. So I recovered, got like 5'9", qualified in last place. In my first World Cup final. It was an amazing experience. Had to race Katabin, but I'm still gonna take that as, I definitely could have, believed my excuses and say, I had a horrible day. I got like 3 hours of sleep. I had, super low recovery score on my whoop.
Yep.
I was like doing not good, but I was like, I can do good. So like, there's no reason I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like I'd be at my best no matter what. And I think a lot of athletes take that to figure it out and say, you know, um, you take these excuses and you say, I can't do it because blank. You probably can. It's just like I'm not knocking those people who say like there's actual legitimate things that make it worse, like
Sure.
because they totally do.
Hmm.
But it's like unlocking another level of like mental strength to
Yeah.
say, okay, I think I can do this right now. Therefore, I'm gonna try my best, and I'm not gonna let that get in the way. And if it ends up I completely do horrible, and it was definitely a factor, then I'm gonna embrace that afterward.
Sure.
But it's not my problem right now.
Yeah, and that's a lesson you can take afterwards, but you can't have that mindset of, "Oh, I'm just going to learn a lesson from today's race before you race." That's a surefire way to lose.
Yeah.
So one of the things I used to tell my athletes is, if you're doing all the right things, consistently, you're getting your sleep, you're eating well, you're getting your good training in. Those are all like deposits you're putting into the bank, right? So the night before competition, if all of a sudden you get that crappy sleep, you've got plenty saved up. You can make a withdrawal from that bank account. You're still going to be able to do what you need to do. If you're constantly living in that realm where you're not getting enough sleep, you're eating like garbage, your training is subpar, you haven't made enough deposits, then when you get that really bad night's sleep before competition, you don't really have anything left in the bank that you can draw on. But anyone can survive, you know, uh, a bad night's sleep. You forgot to eat that morning. Like you can find ways if you've made all the right steps leading up to there to still perform well as long as you've been doing the right things. Remember very similar situation in college for me. So it was a last chance meet. So the last meet before nationals. And I similarly got probably like 2 hours of sleep at the most that night.
Yeah.
Um, Garbage sleep. Get on the bus to drive there. It's a 3-hour bus ride. Also can't sleep on the bus. So I'm just like sitting there like this the entire time. But I had a job to do. So I went to concessions. I got a coffee. I had a granola bar, had a little peanut butter. I'm like, okay, this is what I can control. And went out there, did my routine, competed. Was it a PR? No, but it was really damn close to the point where, yeah, if I slept the full night before and I had good breakfast, could I have PR'd? Maybe. But all I know is I still performed really damn well because I had done all the right steps leading up to there through the whole season where one night of bad sleep wasn't going to ruin my race.
Yeah. And I think you can kind of take that performance and say that's kind of my mental PR,
Yeah,
right? I can say
definitely.
in Seoul, I had a mental PR, not like, saying I didn't like, I was physically not there at all, but mentally I was doing great. And so when that pairs up with a good mental state, then you're great, right? That can be a physical PR too.
Mm-hmm. All right. So with your sessions that are coming up, and then if this goes too deep into your training, you don't want to give any trade secrets out, that's fine. You can speak in generalities. But I mean, is this the last competition that you're traveling for overseas this year?
No, I'm
No.
actually going to Jakarta. I'm going to stay there for a while just to see
Okay.
what's kind of going on in Indonesia, to hang out with all the coaches and the staff there
Nice.
and like all the athletes to see, oh my God, that's, I'm going to figure out some trade secrets. I'm definitely going to be in the winning end of that.
Fantastic. That's great.
um,
But most of the season is behind you currently at this point.
yeah.
So training wise, how is your training different now than it was at the beginning of the season? If it is any different, and what do you do to kind of like peak yourself for these later season meets?
So this season, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely have been figuring that out as far as what to do per every session to see should I be getting stronger in this phase, or should I be, just writing it out and trying to, stay at the same time but not get faster, or just stay the same, or get a little bit slower, or like, just be more consistent.
Mm-hmm.
All those things I think are a little over exaggerated of saying like there is a lot of factors leading up to them. I think like consistency is like 70% mental. Like it's not, you know, I want to right now I want to do my sessions like I was saying, like I'm going to do a like complete simulation,
Hmm.
and I want to just like be in that mindset of like I'm competing. But like earlier this year, I was saying, I'm gonna do a power phase where I want to get a little bit stronger
Hmm.
and maybe gain some weight. And I have a lot of good experts in my life who are really good at that.
Sure.
Um, that'll tell me, you should do a dedicated off season, because when you like say you're lifting weights during like a season, when you want to perform the next day, you're breaking down that muscle, and it's not going to help you too much to you're just physically not going to be able to perform at your best on that day. But like during that phase, I would say like probably January to March before national team trials was the start of my season, was like that
Hmm.
was the power phase. I would, say I would do a workout. I would definitely get stronger. I would make sure, I was getting enough nutrition and protein so that my muscles can resynthesize. And then
Sure.
sleep is like another factor of that too. And I would wake up the next day and say, okay, so I'm sore right now, or I'm, maybe not like I can feel being sore, but I'm definitely, my muscles are not fully repaired.
Right.
So I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna say I'm gonna work on micro beta. I'm gonna change my route a little bit. I'm gonna say try to move my knee in on the start a little bit, or it's just tiny little things
Hmm.
that I can just get a tiny bit better at. And I find that when you do that while your muscles are broken down, when they're not, it feels better. So that was my training from like the start of the year to like team trials. And I think it really did help because um like between November, or I would say between like October and December, I was like injured. I had a pretty bad finger injury.
Okay.
Um, and I had, before Youth Worlds that year in August, I had run a really good time. Got my first five. I was like on top of the world, went there, broke the world record, got second, amazing new international travel experience. Um, and then I got home and I was like, well, what do I do now? Like, we're like, okay, well, I might have a Pan American championship. I might not. I might get invited to Open Nationals, but I might not, because at that time, actually, um, Open Nationals I was too young to go,
Oh.
and I had to try to pull some strings so that I could go. I was like, I asked Brosler, I was like, can you talk to John Muse about doing that, because I would love to go, but I'm technically not old enough for like the USA Climbing Elite Series,
Mm.
because I was a second year B instead of a first year A. But they ended up amending the rule so that everyone, because they had the World Cup season, like the World Cup team be based on both team trials and Open Nationals,
Hmm.
and so I was eligible for team trials, but not for Open Nationals. So I was just able to go to both. And then I ended up going there. And so, like, but leading up to that comp, I definitely realized I was not in the ideal like phase to peak. I
Hmm.
was like, okay, I haven't run like a sub 6 time in like 2 months. I am not feeling that fast. Like I feel like I've regressed a little bit
Sure.
because I was injured, and mentally, and I was in school trying really hard and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of am not doing good right now, but I'm gonna go into this competition and just see what happens. And I ended up going there, and I did go to sub 6. I got like a 5.9, and I was like, okay, I'm ecstatic about that.
Yeah.
Even though like I did my best, regardless, I feel like mentally I performed. So I'm just gonna take that win and say, okay, so for my next cycle, I'm gonna try to do better.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I ended up taking a little break um, after that competition, and then starting again in like January, and really getting stronger. And I feel like it performed, like it went really well. I went to the team trials. I won. I got the World Cup season start, the actual team, and I was just like, okay, well now I'm running like consistent like 6.0. I'm gonna go to a competition where I need to run like consistent like 5.5. So I was like, okay, well, this is a challenge for sure. But I realized, I had gained all this muscle and I'm like stronger now. So I'm like, okay, well, I can, right now I'm just going to focus on increasing my volume of actual on the wall training. And I think it worked really well. I tapped into like kind of that mindset of saying, I want to set really high goals for this season. Just because I know that I can perform at my best and say, right now I'm like a 5'9" athlete at my best. I want to be like a 5'2" athlete at my best this
Yeah,
season. And I'm like, that's a pretty big jump for like 6 months.
it
but
is. But you damn near hit it. So
yeah. It's not over yet. We gotta hopefully.
yes.
But just all of those things, like that was my mentality going into the season. And I went to Seoul, and just before that, I got a 5'5", and I was like, okay, well, I'm doing good, right? I feel super, super strong, and I'm like ready to kind of just coast this out over the summer. Traveling to Europe was a bit of a challenge for me because I was kind of out of my element as far as like, um, you know, kind of groggy and like not trying as hard in my practice sessions, I
Okay.
think. And I think that kind of bogged me down a little bit. I think in like Chamonix, I did not feel as good. So, all those things you can just take as lessons because I
Hmm.
was like, I'm not going to beat myself up over it because it's my first year on the circuit and I probably could do better, but I just didn't know. And I think learning that lesson is really important and saying, I'm not going to give myself any trouble because I know I tried my hardest and I'm not going to, just take that loss because I know, like, I can do better and I can learn from experience. So I'm going to take that into my rest of the competitions. And I feel like I've done that pretty well.
Yeah, that's the best mindset to have about that as well. So, um, you covered a lot of stuff right there. So, just going back to your dedicated hypertrophy and power training, building some muscle, using that to make you stronger, and then moving on to adding the volume onto the wall. That's very similar to how a lot of like Olympic sprinters will train, like, but they'll organize their off season where they're going to have it is more general work. So it's going to be more about building that muscle, building that speed, building that power and that strength, and then moving into kind of like the slower portion of the race, so your acceleration. So you're really working now that power, that expression of that muscle that you just built, really drilling that down, doing some sort of resisted stuff, hill sprints, like sled sprints, and then you move to the unresisted stuff. And now it takes a while. There's a speed lag. Like you might be lifting 50 more pounds than you were last year, but it's going to take your body a little bit of time to realize how to actually use that strength while expressing speed. So it sounds like you had that little phase, you spend the time on the wall, taught your body how to do it, and now everyone can see that you are faster and stronger now, just based
Yeah.
off your times. And it's not just one-offs, it's that consistency. And what excites me about seeing your times, and I'm not trying to like throw any predictions or anything out there, but looking at how people that have well-designed training programs, the way that they typically PR, the patterns that I've seen is, you'll see them get consistent in one area, then they'll hit a dip, and then that will become their body realizes what it's like to go to that speed. That becomes that next consistent shelf before those next dips hit. And you have enough time left this season with your races to make those 5.3s, 5.2s, that consistent shelf. That's going to be your consistent area when you come back next season, and then just even progress from there. I'm not saying you're not even going to go faster than that this season, but like,
Yeah.
um,
Hopefully.
but like looking at your races, you are very consistent, and it's fun watching you race. So
Yeah.
just let me fan out there for a second. Um, so kind of want to take this to a weird place for you. I gave you a couple of random questions, but I
Yeah.
think I think the one that I really want to ask you is if you could pick any celebrity for speed climbing and you get to train them, you get 6 months to do it. You're already used to coaching now. So
Hmm.
who are you choosing and why? Who's going to perform the best out of a celebrity? And we're going to say it can't be an existing athlete. It's got to be like
It can't be an existing athlete.
let's
Okay.
say if that's who you're already
Um,
thinking of, you can choose one, but then let's also go like Hollywood style celebrity.
okay, Hollywood style celebrities. Okay. So I did think about this and I was gonna go with this. I was gonna just say like Andrew Garfield because of like Spider-Man. But
Yes.
I thought about it a little bit more. I think I was thinking about like all the Marvel actors. I would choose Chris Evans because he seems like such a disciplined dude. Like to do all these like superhero, like he has to get in shape or lose pounds or like not that all of them don't do it.
Right.
It just seems like for him to be in the state like that he has to film his movies and so many of them in a sequential order. I feel like just looking at like beyond the just like he's jacked, he definitely could train really hard. Like if
Yeah.
I gave him a training plan, he would not be like, "No, I'm filming a movie today." He would do that training plan. And I was like, "Yeah, no, I could get him running fives easy."
Nice. I think if I'm choosing a celebrity, like an actor, um, do you ever see Mission Impossibles?
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
So Tom
Yeah.
Cruise, I think it's Mission Impossible 2. They've got him doing some ridiculous climbing stuff somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
just free soloing. But Tom Cruise goes so insane with his movies. Like I'm gonna be an actual fighter pilot. I'm going to actually do these stunts. I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. I feel like if you got him excited about speed climbing, he would 100% live the life of it. I mean, he's 5'6". I mean, there's shorter climbers out there. He's a little old, so I don't know how good he would do, but I feel like he would live, eat, breathe, sleep speed climbing if
You think so?
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Either that or I'm thinking like Men in Black 1 era Will Smith. I think you could get him to
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Men in
um
Black. Yeah, I think I would give him. He definitely get the buzzer pretty well.
yes.
Slap it. um, those are pretty good answers. But I gotta stick with Chris Evans. I feel like he would do really good.
Yeah. Any oh, man, anyone that's been in a Marvel movie as for as long as he was, so it was like 2012
Yeah, it's like a
until like
10-year stretch of not looking like that much older. And
of
then
not looking
like,
older and just living your life jacked as hell. Just like you know he's
yeah,
he's got a volume of work behind him where he'll be able to handle the training that you're going to throw at him.
yeah.
Okay, so now let's go athlete. So you can choose a different athlete from a different sport.
Different athlete from a different sport. Okay. Um, who could I take? That's like I was debating going with like a taller athlete, like a basketball kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
or I could go with like a really, really fast sprinter. But to be honest, okay, um, I listened to this podcast, right? It's like the Whoop podcast. It's like
Yeah.
they make the like biometric tracker,
Yep.
and then there's like a podcast where they interview athletes. I like the one like that's like the hardest athlete. Like this athlete is just like insane. Was the one about Michael Phelps. I think I would choose like prime Michael Phelps
Okay.
because I feel like he would just live it. Like he said, like he was giving all these stories about like I was in Colorado Springs training. And if you take Sunday off, you're not as good as you were on Saturday until Tuesday. So you lose 3 days. So you got to train every single day. I was like, okay, that's my guy. That's my guy right there.
Yeah, he's not going to complain about anything that you give him over those 6 months.
Yeah. No, he'll do my training plan and he'll do more than it too. He'll probably be like, this is too easy. I'll give him the Indonesian coach's training plan.
Nice. I think so. I'm in Wisconsin, so probably gonna go Milwaukee Bucks. Probably gonna go Giannis.
Giannis, really
And
that tall?
that tall, I think so. Do you know about like Giannis's backstory about like
Mm-hmm.
basically
Living
being homeless
Greece,
in
yeah.
Greece? Yep. I think he's got the type of fire that, given that challenge, be like I already proved people wrong with basketball. Oh, do we
Yeah.
lose you, Sam?
Oh man. Um,
I've got your voice.
that's good. Yeah. I'm surprised I made it this far in without having some technical difficulty.
That's all right. Well, I'll just keep rattling off. So Giannis's backstory,
Yeah.
he proved people wrong with basketball. I think if he decides that 6 months of speed climbing is what he wants to do, not only would he do it, but I feel like with how tall and how long he is, we're probably gonna see some new
Yeah,
beta.
some new betas. Okay,
Yeah.
that's definitely true. Because he's what, 6'9",
Yeah,
6'10"?
with like a 7'1" wingspan or something like that. It's and yeah.
Yeah. And he's got that kind of like freakish athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he would be like one of the best in the NBA, or he is one of the best. But I think like one thing he can improve on is like his shooting and stuff. But you don't have to do that in speed climbing. It's raw athleticism. So
Raw
I think,
athleticism.
yeah, that's his strong suit.
Definitely. All right. So, you've got Edinburgh coming up. Let's just go through one of my other questions that I had. So you've now had this is your second season of traveling internationally for competitions, correct?
I did youth world championships last year, but that was my only international competition that
Okay. So this
season.
is then your first full season of international
Yes.
travel. What was your favorite place to go to?
Oh, my favorite place. So, in terms of like the lifestyle of like everything going on, being with the entire US team and seeing the people like around internationally, like just in the cities, I think Europe was just takes the cake of, we were going to Chamonix and Villar and Lausanne and all these like amazing cities. And then, you could take a train and be in Zurich or Innsbruck, and it's just like everybody's there. So it was just amazing to have that level of people around you. So I really, really did like that place. But as far as like actually getting on the wall and competing in front of a crowd, nothing even comes close to competing in front of my hometown in Dallas for Youth Worlds. I think, that was like amazingly, like you have that level of support. And it was just, I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the lead climbing yesterday by chance?
In Coper? Yes, I did.
Yeah. So like you look at Yanya, hometown, like
and she got like 4-5 bolts faster, higher than anyone else.
Exactly. So when it's a hometown, you've got that home energy. Even if you don't necessarily know anyone that's there, they know you, and you are representing that hometown. So you feel it. It's oh, he's back.
There we go.
It's like to date myself with some Dragon Ball Z. It's Goku just receiving all that energy, and then like you feel it.
Yeah, I definitely felt that in Salt Lake as well. Just because you see anyone with the US jersey, they're just super, super psyched for you. But I was like, at the end of I had a PR in like my first race at the second World Cup, and I was just like taking it all in. I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is the best feeling of competing.
Excellent. If you could choose a place for IFSC to host a World Cup, where are you gonna put that dot on the map? Where are they hosting it?
I think I would personally like to like explore the kind of like places I haven't been to before. So I could say like I would want to say like a big city. Maybe like London or Paris. But I think like I want to say like Sofia in Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Like I would want to say like that's like a completely new place. Like, or even like Mumbai, where they have like a kind of an up and coming team in India, or like, where's like another place we could go? You could go to like Islamabad in Pakistan.
Sure.
Like that would also work. As far as like going to a place I've never been to before, would just be so amazing. And then to see that kind of like new crowd in a new place. As far as performance goes, I don't think that's amazing for me for having everything be new.
Right.
But I would be incredible. Like just I want to travel the world, so I would like to go to some of those places. Yeah.
Nice. Let's see. So getting a little close to 11. I do have want to make sure we're making the best use of our time. One thing I wanted to ask you is, do you have any current sponsors right now?
Current sponsors? No, we're crossing my fingers that they I sent out an email to one of them, and then I'm crossing my fingers that they will take me onto the team. So if they do, then I'll shout that out, but I'm not going to do that right now.
Sure.
For confidentiality reasons.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's clear with your progression that the sponsor should be right around the corner for you. So fingers crossed from you here as well.
Hopefully.
Help you get that. And then One thing I wanted to ask you is, the training lifestyle is very difficult to, with consistency and everything, especially given school. How does school work with you, or how, does your school work with you with your international um competitions, or is it just kind of like, oh, you're gone again, so well, turn in your homework by this date?
So if you're listening from the Texas Government Truancy Board, I'm an amazing student. I go to every day of school. I have a perfect attendance rate. If you're not, then last year I was in public school and I missed several days of school for international travel reasons. And they were honestly very supportive of what I was doing, and I had good grades. So they were like, okay, you're clearly not doing this for delinquency purposes.
Sure.
And like, I'm showing them the videos and I'm like talking to them. And, it was like a kind of a two-way thing of like, we support you. So you can go and do this without too much flag. I got a little bit from one of like the, like, assistant principals. He was like, do you usually go to Russia every year? I was like, no. No. Like, I feel like that's a pretty uncommon thing. Right. But besides that, everyone was super receptive to like, what the actual situation was. But this year I'm doing an online school. I'm going to start in October after all of my Indonesia stuff happens. And it's like an international school where you can it's based in Singapore, and you can use curriculum from all over the world, and like colleges will give you their credit.
Nice.
Like for doing their courses. And I'm really excited for it. And you can do like Zoom meetings with people from all over the world talking about different lifestyles and stuff like that. And I think that would be a very enriching thing to do. So hopefully it'll go well. I haven't started it yet. So when I do, I'll maybe let you know how it goes.
Perfect.
Come back
it's one of the you hate to say that there's anything good came out of COVID and the pandemic, but the fact that everything had to transition to be able to be being done online with like the workplace, school, and stuff like that. I have to imagine as an athlete, that's going to open up so many more doors to maintain your ability to get an education while also being able to focus on the sport that you love.
Yeah. I did online school my freshman year of high school. I'm going into my junior year now, but I did it my freshman year of high school. And honestly, it was horrible. Like, I think there was like a multitude of factors as to why I didn't really like it. But, all of the things that I have now that would make it more tolerable, I didn't have. Like, because nowadays I have, a ton of friends from all over the world that I can visit, and I have these travel opportunities, and I have, I can drive and go to the gym whenever I want. Like back then, it was like I didn't leave my room for like 3 days on end.
Yeah,
like,
see, that's not good.
I would be efficient of a one learner. Like I would do like 2 weeks of school in like 2 days, but like it was just like I'm slugging through this. I'm finishing in like early May. I'm like I'm done.
Yeah,
like I'm like out of here. I want to talk to people again.
Well, Sam, is there anything that you wanted to say? Anything that you want to, tell your fans out there? Or
tell my fans, the SWAT team, as Albert calls it.
Yes.
I really appreciate I would not call you my fans, at least not yet, but all the people in my life that do support me and do like all these great things that help me and advance the sport, like even like what you're doing with coaching, and what Albert is doing with his all of these things that potentially advance the sport. I look up to you, and I want to do the same things you're doing, and to give back, because it's given me so much. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
I couldn't say it any better than you just did. That's excellent. So Sam, why don't you plug your socials for everyone as well?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Samuel Watson __. Whatever. What else do I have? I don't really post on TikTok anymore. So just follow me on Instagram. I've been releasing some good content lately. I got to get my reels to blow up so I can get some more Instagram followers.
Yes, and then you can start getting those Instagram sponsors as well.
I know. Yeah, I want to get people to write articles about me so I can get verified on Instagram. Like, I feel like that'd be such a flex.
So what are the requirements to being
it's really unclear, to be honest. Okay. It's like you're supposed to submit like an article about like you that's written to like confirm notoriety. I was
Oh,
like, okay, well, like what do I even submit
I
for
mean,
that? Like, and like you try to like Google it, it's just like, it's very unclear, but like I feel like that would be so cool if I like was verified on Instagram. So if
well,
you're listening to this and you work at Facebook, you should hit me up.
and let's do this. So after I put the podcast out, I always do like a little like brief write up for the website and everything like that. I'll
Yeah.
turn that baby into like a 1,200 word article about
1200
you,
word article.
and then we just share the hell out of that. Make sure it gets a good amount of shares online. You can send
Mhm.
that to Instagram, and maybe that's going to be what kicks you over to have that little
Yeah,
verified
it'd be
following.
awesome.
Well, cool. Sam, thank you so much for being on here. It was really great to chat with you and to learn more about your training, learn more about you, and just find out what drives you as an athlete. It really sounds like you've got a great core group of supporters around you, from your family to your trainers, your coaches, and your athletes, and just the community around you of climbers where, speed climbing is embraced. And that's the type of environment that really helps an athlete like you, especially, you're only 16, you're already at this level. You really do have so many more years ahead of you of continuing to push where you're at. And that's the type of environment that's going to allow you to actually rise to, like, the peak of your pyramid, rather than, fizzling out. So I'm just going to say thank you to every one of your supporters out there for enabling you to do what you do so well and representing the USA so well.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right. I will hope to get back on here. It was very fun. Maybe after all of my competition season, and I get
Yes.
back, I'll let you know. So far as that. So thank you so much.